Hi there, friends and adventurers. Heather here. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 6 necessities and 6 luxuries that I think we all need to bring with us when we go car camping. As you can see, I am currently inside my 2017 Dodge Grand Caravan, Terra, who I have gone all over Florida and beyond with on lots and lots of solo adventures and even some car camping trips with my daughter. But without further ado, I am going to be sharing with you these items that you are going to want to take with you every single time, just like I do. Let's get right into it, shall we? I don't want to forget anything, so I have my notes right here. And we are going to start with the necessities because priorities, all right? The very first thing that you absolutely need in order to successfully go car camping is a comfy spot to sleep, because how can you go camping if you're not sleeping at all? So, as you can see behind me, I have one of my no-build setups. I do have several that I use, and I will be sure to link those below. But this one is actually just my third row bench seat that I have converted into a no-build bed setup. Very comfy. I am able to stretch out on it, but I'm short at 5'2". And I kind of lay in it sort of like you would in a hammock, you know, kind of sort of reclined with my feet elevated. It's actually a super comfortable position for me. But I also have a cot set up, and I also have a self-inflating mattress that I've used several times too that's really comfy. So lots of options. You don't need a lot of money. This is maybe, I think the foam that I have folded on top was maybe like $40. Everything else was just padding, blankets, things that I had around the house. So $40 for a comfy bed, and I've been using it for almost 2 years now. So first thing, gotta have a comfy place to sleep. Let's move on. Now, keep in mind, this is my list of what I consider to be bare necessities and then some must-have luxuries. This is obviously going to differ slightly for everybody based on your individual needs. But with that said, the second thing that I think you absolutely need to have is some type of window coverings. Not only to help keep heat in or heat out, but also for privacy. You know, if you need to change, if you need to use the restroom inside your van, whatever the case may be, you kind of want the ability to not be a fishbowl. So with that said, again, do not need a lot of money. The very first thing I started out with 3 years ago, over 3 years ago now, magnetic curtains. And they are so easy to use. They just adhere straight to the metal lining around your window with these little sewn-in magnets and instantly black out privacy. I actually still use these to this day on my front 2 windows because I like to have a little bit of ventilation up there. I normally have the windows down at least a few inches with my screens, which I will talk about later. But I also have, as you can see behind me, my custom fit WeatherTechs that were made specifically for this year make and model vehicle so that they just pop right in and pull right out. They have this black side, and then on the sides you can choose to either have the black side in or the black side out and the silver side in. As you can see, my third row windows always have. I have actually done a video all about window coverings, completely dedicated to it, so I'll be sure to link that below for you as well. Basically, any supplemental resources or dedicated videos that I mentioned today, I'll be sure to have in the description, so make sure you stop there when you're done with this video. Now, the number 3 thing, maybe a little controversial. In my opinion, it is a must-have necessity no matter whether it's cold, hot, whatever the case may be. I think you need to have it for ventilation to prevent condensation from settling, all of those things, and that is a fan, at least one. I personally have 3 that I use in the summer, and 1 to 2 is enough the rest of the time. I already mentioned why I feel the fan is essential. I live in Florida, and that's where I do the majority of my car camping and travel. And I don't know, I think most people are aware that not only does Florida get very hot, but it gets very humid. So kind of like you're walking in a sauna at all times. Great for not drying out your skin, not so great for anything else. So fans are clutch in not only kind of directing airflow to keep it from getting stagnant and kind of moving it out and sucking in fresh air from windows or open doors, but also, again, to help prevent condensation. We create a lot of moisture overnight when we sleep, especially in the winter time, because if you think about it, you're less likely to have your windows open and to be wanting the fresh air to come in if you're trying to stay warm. So you're kind of closed in this little teeny tiny tight space and breathing in and out all night. If you have pets or more than one person, you know, it just goes up exponentially. So the fans moving the air around with a little bit of ventilation will prevent the condensation from becoming a major issue. Number 4, some type, not this, number 4, not number 4. Some type of external battery or power source. Now hear me out, I am not saying you need an expensive power station, although that topic may get brought up in a little bit. But at least something like this right here, these little, this one is an Anchor one, but these little rechargeable battery banks, as you can see, I have mine plugged in for my USB lighting right now. It is not only powering my beautiful little lights back here, which again will come up in a minute, but also my little cheapy USB light. And again, does not have to be an expensive power station, some type of major solar setup or anything fancy. Just any type of little external power banks, something basically to at least keep your phone, tablet, etc. charged up, especially your phone, because you don't want to have to run your vehicle to charge your phone up if it starts to die overnight. And that brings us right into number 5 nicely, which is you're going to need some type of secondary lighting. I've already mentioned a couple of my sources that I use. And again, don't think you have to spend a lot of money. Does not have to be anything fancy, but some type here. I'll show you a few of the kinds that I use. A headlamp, which I always keep over the headrest of my driver's seat, so that if I need to make any bathroom runs or go outside after dark, I have some type of hands-free lighting. I also have at least one, normally 2 of these little solar Luci Lights. I have, one is Luminate, I think, and the other is the Luci Light. And again, I got the kind that can charge with USB as well, so that if I don't have any sun, I still have other options. But you just need some kind of lighting basically for when your engine's not running and it's dark out. My favorite, pardon me, is my little $10 USB light. I've been using this, I've only had to replace it one time, and it cost me less than $10, and it's super bright, just like a regular interior light. So draws hardly any power, lots of light, win-win. A couple more of my favorite accent lighting. My little LED rechargeable lantern that you can do different levels of, or the color changing option. My fall lighting with my pretty little fall leaves. The OGs have seen this before. In fact, if you've made it this far in the video and you recognize this lighting, let me know in the comments. And that brings us to what I consider the 6th and final necessity. This may not be on everybody's list of necessities, but I would argue if you live in Florida or some other humid, buggy state, It is an absolute necessity. Maybe not for stealth camping, but if you are camping or in a space where you don't have to be super stealthy or sneaky, you need these window screens. I have shown them many times before. They are in my window covers video that I've already mentioned, but this enables you to roll your windows down without any bugs coming in. You can keep them just a few inches down, especially with rain guards, and you get great ventilation without any kind of stress of anything getting in. So that wraps up our list of what I consider to be the bare necessities that you should have with you before you set out car camping. Let's move on to what I think are 6 must-have luxury items that are going to just really elevate your experience. It's going to make it more convenient, more comfy, less stress, all the things that you want in a car camping experience. So, first thing, while it is entirely possible to have a very successful traveling car camping experience without refrigeration at all, and or with just a cooler that you refresh with ice if and when you need to, but hear me out, I am telling you, if you upgrade to a car camping fridge, a car fridge, a 12-volt fridge, it will take it to a whole, game changer. It's been probably the number one thing that has just been, now that I've gone there, I can never go back kind of a thing. Well, obviously I can, but that I don't want to have to. No soggy food, no replenishing ice. It is just so nice to have temperature control food. I never have to worry about whether it's still good or not if the ice melts, because I have it temperature controlled, set to a certain temperature. So again, highly, highly, highly recommend that you add a fridge to your car camping kit. I like to think all of the luxury items that I'm mentioning today, while not necessities, are also still very practical. So that brings me to my number 2 item. Again, let me explain. And that is decorative pillowcases. I think they help kind of elevate the interior of the space. It makes it more comfy, more cozy, more home-like, but it is an excellent way to store things. This, for instance, is my winter storage, which now that we've had our first official cold front here in Florida, I can break out now. That has all of my necessities in it, like hats, gloves, scarves, insulated, all those kind of things. So not only is it practical, but it just kind of makes the space feel more home-like. So I definitely recommend, if you need storage for clothing, bedding, any kind of soft, squishy storage, use decorative pillowcases. Some may argue that number 3 on my list is perhaps a necessity, but I know lots of people, myself included, that rarely, if ever, need it. So in my opinion, it's more in the luxury, make your experience more comfortable and convenient category than an absolute necessity to set out car camping. And that is having some type of secondary emergency backup toileting method. Use your imagination. I've done videos on it before. I'll link those below as well. But if you don't want to leave your vehicle overnight for some reason, especially if you're stealth camping and you don't want people to know you're inside, or if you're in a space where you don't really feel like you want to exit the vehicle until you're ready to leave the next day, it definitely comes in handy to have a backup method. So, something to keep in mind. Let's move on. The next item up on my the next luxury that I want to talk about that packs a big bang for your buck, and that is ambient lighting. Now, I know I already listed lighting as a necessity, and it is because you need to have some kind of backup light source aside from your vehicle. But I think ambient lighting is a huge thing. And it's not just because it makes the space comfy, cozy, and more home-like. You know, as I've mentioned about the pillowcases, I promise I'll stop now. But also because it is way less harsh. If you're in your vehicle at night, you don't necessarily want a bright white light blinding you while you're trying to relax for the evening. So having just a little bit of soft accent lighting is awesome. It gives you just enough light to see. It doesn't make you feel like a spotlight, and it kind of helps you wind down for the evening and kind of create that relaxing mood. All right, number 5. Let's talk about it. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you have some way of boiling water, at the very least, boiling water, and or cooking. But let's just keep it simple and say that you definitely want an efficient way to boil water. This is my go-to. I can bring stuff, like I said, that doesn't need refrigeration, that doesn't need cooking, to eat and be fine. But I need my coffee. So, gotta have a way to boil water. Now, if you're comfortable bringing fuel in your vehicle and you don't live in extreme temperatures, then you might have something like a jet boil, a camp stove, you know, a Coleman or a dual fuel propane, butane stove. But I am a chicken. I do not trust myself with extra flammable materials inside the vehicle. Too much added responsibility, especially when it gets super hot out. And I'm super simple, so just plug in. This baby only uses 300 watts. Well, on my Bluetti, for some reason, it pulls like 350 or 360 watts, but normally it's right around 300 watts. And it only takes about 4 or 5 minutes to boil, which makes it perfect for dehydrated meals, like backpacking meals and things like that, for like cup of noodles, those kind of instant type meals, for coffee, for tea, for hot cocoa. Get a way to boil water at camp with you. We are now at the 6th and final luxury that you need to bring with you every time you go car camping, in my opinion, if you want to have the other conveniences and, again, less stress, less hassle, more of a glamping experience, if you will. And that is, I highly recommend a power setup. Again, doesn't have to be the biggest, the most expensive, the most powerful. It just needs to fit your needs. I have several different ones, several different brands I've tried. You know, I think if you stick with the major well-known companies that have good reviews, that you know you're going to have pretty good chance at good customer service with, and, you know, ones that just there's the most information about available on, you're probably going to be safe. And again, you just need to learn what your specific power needs are and then, you know, get one accordingly. In fact, I did a video on that too, so I'll link that below as well. Again, I just want to stress you do not need to spend thousands of dollars on a setup. If you're full-time, you can consider, you know, just a simple solar setup with an inverter and a secondary battery. If you want to be more dual purpose like me, where I use it at home base during hurricane season as well, I would consider a portable power station. For me, I know I need a little more power than the average person because I run a fridge, I cook, I boil water, I can't count today. And then I have, you know, like my camera batteries, my laptop, other things that I need to recharge. So I do kind of have a lot of power needs. I'm sort of a camping diva, I guess you could say. Not at all necessary. I want to stress that, but highly recommend, especially if you're going to want things like a heated blanket or heating pad in the winter, a fridge, something that draws a lot of power. you're going to need a good secondary source of power. So definitely recommend, if you can, to wait for days like Prime Days, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That's when you're going to get the best deals. But normally you can find a pretty good sale on at least one of the major brands. All right, folks, there you have it. That is 6 necessities and 6 luxuries you need when you go car camping. And by need, I mean it's nice to have. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up so that the algorithm knows you found it helpful and maybe shows it to more people. That would help me out. And I'll see you again very soon. Bye for now, friends.